Good afternoon. If I can leave you today with this talk, I would like you to remember three things: water droplets, foundation, and fire. My name is Tinawati Soesianto. I was born in a Bangka Island on the eastern side of Sumatra, Indonesia. Growing up, to tell my story, I could not skip one particular person, my mother. The person who laid foundation, shaped who I am today. Our family worked so hard to make sure that we are not defeated by hardship and poverty. My mom always said, you can be poor, but you don't have to be lazy. You can be poor, but doesn't mean that you cannot be smart. You can be poor doesn't mean that you cannot have decency. I grew up with these values. My mom is a great storyteller. If you know her history, she herself growing up in extreme poverty. She could only attend until secondary school. But if you talk to her, you know that this person has wisdom. She's also a really good storyteller. Whenever she wants advice, she just gives us metaphor, telling story. And then there's one story that stick with me, a metaphor that stick with me until today. I would like you to see this picture. When you see this, which one hits you first? The water droplet, the stone, or the hole? If you ask me, I'm fascinated by the hole and how tiny this water dripped through, how long it took this water to make this hole. So when she told me about this metaphor, she's trying to tell me about the possibility of change. That change is possible. But then it doesn't come easy. We all know that. So she wanted me to remember the patience, the resilience, the perseverance that this water droplet had to keep on falling on this rock to make this hole. Then, so I grew up with these values that eventually took me journey after journey that change are possible. I came back from Washington, D.C. To Indonesia 2012, becoming the first child in my family who made it to college. It's another story. And then people ask me, so what brought you to Madagascar? People are always curious with this story. So I'm going to tell you this. So came back from U.S. in Indonesia. I knew that I've been always wanting to do something selfless, something to give back to the community. What I've been given, I feel responsible. I have this desire. I cannot keep it for myself. So while waiting for the place or what I'm going to do with the next chapter of my life, in August 2013, this dream came to me. A vivid dream. I was flying over the giant map, a world map. You know, in the dream, you could like fly. You could do anything in the dream. So, I was sleeping and I got the dream. I was flying over the world map. And until my body flew down, approaching this one particular island, and I saw the word on it, Madagascar. So how is that possible? Ask the dream. I didn't ask for the dream. So I came as I packed and I left to the unknown. The first 6 months in Madagascar, I could only afford a room in the 2-story house in the middle of a slum, one of the major slums in Antananarivo. I applied for a teaching job, and then I started teaching in universities. Every single day, I had 2 different scenes. In the morning to afternoon, I'm among students, people who pave their way to the future, who get opportunity to have education. And I walk back home. I walk, and going back to the slum, and a contrast scenery. Out of school children, jobless young people. Until one day, among all those days walking, an incident happened to me. There were about like 10 young kids, teenagers, walked through me and grabbed my hand, another hand, because they tried to get my phone and my backpack. Inside my backpack, there was laptop and an avocado for my dinner. So I got a strong hand. I try, it's like cool. And so finally, one of them took the stone to hit my head so I could let go. I chased them because the laptop is everything, my data and my work. Until I could not chase them anymore. I came home devastated, and my mind just could not stop thinking, feeling angry. I was sad. I felt sorry for me, and back to feeling angry, and then sad, and to the point I said, come to this thought of why or what made these children, these young kids, did such thing. And I remember the fact that they don't have the foundation as me, because everyone was born like a blank paper. Depends on who's put the foundation, who wrote on their paper, right? So I said, if I'm going to do something, I feel responsible for these kids who's like neglected, ignored, and we just hate it when they did something bad. So that point I said, I'm going to start something to make sure that I am part of the solution of helping these children and young kids. So in the university, I started invited students who joined me to create this movement, Teach for Madagascar. We call it Education for Change. Of course, it's not an easy to create a movement, but I remember creating a movement is like building a foundation. You need a strong foundation for a strong movement. You need a solid foundation to create lasting impact and long movement, because it's not going to be easy to change our society, to change broken pieces. Foundation. What are these foundations? To me, foundation means you need to have leaders within your movement that are motivated with a pure motive to give without expecting anything in return, to have integrity, trustworthiness. These are the foundations that first need to be built before you can start any movement. I spent lots of time, lots of my energies, resources to make sure that this movement has a strong foundation that can go years until when? Until we see the change. Change after change, better transformation in the society we all live in, wherever we are. I won't be here today without leaders who studied this movement with me. These leaders, university students, create more and more volunteers like them. You cannot give, in order to have like a stronger movement, you yourself have to be that foundation, because you're going to build foundation on these children. You're going to build foundation on foundationless youth and children. Some people here, you could see them around. And I want to show you one more. There are two kinds of foundation. Sorry, yes. You can see here a strong foundation and a cracked one. The cracked foundation will weaken your foundation. If you have a crack, impure motive, then your movement will slowly be weakened. We started with no fundings. I told the leaders, if you join me, I cannot promise you any monetary benefits because we are the resources. I said, like, so what are the rewards? I used to tell them, your reward comes from the impact that you see, the change of life, which are many times greater than any other rewards. When your foundation is strong and solid, you attract people to invest in it. You attract people to join your movement. But then the foundation needs maintenance to keep it strong, solid. I'm going to close with one more element, which is fire. Talking about fire, we're talking about light. Talking about light, we're talking about the opposite of light, darkness. There's no time in the history there was no dark times. We all individually will go through a lot of darkness. There will be dark times, whether you like it or not. And in this today's world, we see how dark some places are. How many people are still sitting in the darkness, literally. Sitting without education, without opportunity, without possibility. So the light to me symbolized that it has to go to these dark places. We all here because we have foundation. Somebody put foundation in us. Some people believe that they need to put foundation in each and every one of us here. So we are here today because of these people who put the light in us. So I challenge all of us to bring this light, the light to every place where you are at. In this movement, the light means literacy. We see from kids who could not read, cannot write, suddenly their eyes open when they can. I once asked a person, what is it like when you could not read, could not write? We work a lot in rural areas, so we encounter a lot of illiterate people. What is it like when you cannot read? Because I cannot imagine that. I like reading, so I cannot remember when the time I could not read. I just read. And this person said, it feels like you're blind. It feels like you're blind. And I thought about that. This person is correct. So the light of literacy is this movement, but I challenge each and every one of us, whatever you can, because you have the light. You're sitting here because we have the light, to pass this light in the darkness that you see in your workplace, in the darkness you see in your community, in the darkness where you see wherever you go. Because our world today needs changes, needs transformation. And then there's no way to do it without a strong foundation, without believing in the power of change, and without carrying the light and pass it on. Thank you.